Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're tackling something pretty interesting, survival psychology.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, you've given us a really fascinating mix of sources this time around.
Yeah.
We've got articles on tactics, blog posts about mindset, even a rundown of survival podcasts.
Wow.
It seems like you're interested in more than just, what to do in a crisis.
Right.
You want to understand how to think your way through it.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great point. It's like
Yeah.
the difference between, having a well-stocked toolbox
Right.
and actually knowing how to use the tools effectively.
Exactly. And that's our mission today.
Yeah.
To try to distill those key mental strategies that can make all the difference when things go sideways.
Mm-hmm.
And not just in some wilderness survival scenario,
Right.
but, these tactics can apply to everyday challenges too.
Oh, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
It's about developing that mental resilience,
Right.
the ability to stay calm and resourceful under pressure.
Yeah.
Whether you're facing a literal life or death situation
Right.
or just navigating a tricky work deadline.
Speaking of life or death,
Yeah.
one quote from survival expert Cody London really jumped out at me.
Okay.
He said, "Survival is 90% psychology."
Wow.
That's
What do you make of that?
It's a powerful statement, and it really underscores a crucial point.
Yeah.
Your mindset is arguably the most critical tool you have in a survival situation.
Wow.
Think about it. You could have all the best gear and skills in the world,
Right?
but if you panic or lose hope
Mm-hmm.
or make poor decisions under pressure,
Yeah.
those tools become practically useless.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's not just about being physically prepared.
Right.
It's about cultivating the mental fortitude to face those challenges head on.
Absolutely.
And one of the sources we had 23 tactics for a survival mindset. It
Okay.
had this really interesting point about willpower.
Okay.
It argues that willpower is like a muscle. You can actually train it
Oh, interesting.
to become stronger. I find that concept incredibly empowering.
Yeah.
It means we're not stuck with some, fixed amount of willpower.
Right.
We can actually develop it through practice
Right.
and conscious effort.
Yeah.
The source even gives this intriguingly simple but challenging example.
Yep.
Taking cold showers daily.
Daily cold showers. Okay. I'm not sure I'm ready for that level of commitment,
Yeah,
but I get the idea. You're pushing yourself beyond your comfort zone.
right.
You're proving to yourself that you can handle discomfort.
Yeah,
And that builds mental toughness.
exactly. And this ties in perfectly with what's called the 40% rule,
Okay.
which was discussed in survival psychology and mindset.
Mm-hmm.
The basic idea is that we often underestimate our reserves of strength,
Okay.
both physical and mental.
Right.
We hit a wall and think, that's it, I'm done.
Yeah.
But in reality, we probably still have a good 40% left in the tank.
So it's about pushing past those perceived limits,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's enduring a cold shower,
Right.
running that extra mile,
Yeah.
or tackling a project that seems overwhelming.
Exactly. It's about tapping into that hidden reserve of strength,
Yeah.
that resilience we don't always realize we have.
Right.
And speaking of overwhelming projects,
Yeah.
another key strategy for survival is something called compartmentalization.
Okay.
This idea pops up in several of the sources you provided.
Okay. Break that down for me.
Sure.
What exactly is compartmentalization?
It's about breaking down a huge, daunting task
Mhm.
into smaller, more manageable chunks.
Okay.
This prevents that feeling of being completely overwhelmed
Right.
and helps you maintain a sense of control even when facing immense pressure.
That reminds me of Joe Simpson's story
Yeah.
from Touching the Void,
Mm-hmm.
where he survived that horrific climbing accident in the Andes.
All right.
He was stranded with a broken leg miles from help,
Oh, wow.
and to avoid being swallowed by despair,
Yeah.
he focused solely on just the next 20 minutes of crawling.
It's a truly remarkable example of compartmentalization in action. Simpson faced a seemingly impossible situation,
Right.
but by focusing on those bite-sized goals, he was able to persevere and ultimately survive.
It's incredible what the human mind can achieve when it's focused and determined.
Absolutely.
And this technique isn't just for extreme survival scenarios.
Right.
We can use it in everyday life too.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Break down a big project into smaller tasks. Focus on one step at a time.
Right.
And celebrate those little wins along the way.
It's a powerful strategy for maintaining momentum
Yeah.
and avoiding that feeling of being completely overwhelmed.
Right. But what's equally important is recognizing the power of our thoughts.
Absolutely.
The Way of the Seal has this vivid parable
Okay.
about two wolves that really resonated with me.
Oh, yeah, the two wolves.
Tell me more about that.
It's a story about the battle between our positive and negative thoughts.
Okay.
We each have two wolves inside us. One represents fear, negativity, and self-doubt,
Right.
while the other embodies courage, optimism, and resilience. And here's the key. The wolf that wins is the one you feed.
That's a powerful image.
Yeah.
It suggests that we have a choice in which thoughts we nurture, which ones we give power to.
Precisely. And 23 Tactics echoes this sentiment,
Okay.
advising us to feed the positive mind,
Right.
consciously choose thoughts that empower you, that build you up,
Yeah.
rather than dwelling on the ones that make you feel weak or hopeless.
Okay, so it's about recognizing those negative thought patterns
Right.
when they creep in
Yeah.
and actively shifting your focus to something positive and constructive.
Exactly.
23 Tactics even suggest having a 2-minute distraction ready, something to break that cycle of negative thinking.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Do you have any go-to distractions?
Oh, absolutely.
When you feel those negative wolves starting to howl?
Sometimes it's as simple as getting up and moving around,
Yeah.
doing a few stretches, or listening to a favorite song. The key is to break that pattern of negative thinking and shift your focus to something more positive and energizing.
So we've got willpower, compartmentalization,
Right.
and feeding the right wolf. Are we missing any key mental strategies?
Well, there's one concept that might seem counterintuitive, even a bit unsettling.
Correct.
Give up-itis,
Give up-itis.
which is discussed in survival psychology and mindset.
That sounds ominous.
Yeah.
What exactly does that mean?
It's the idea that people can literally die from losing hope,
Wow.
even when their basic survival needs are met.
Yeah.
It might sound unbelievable,
Yeah.
but studies of prisoners of war and those in extreme survival situations have shown that a loss of hope can lead to a cascade of physiological changes that ultimately result in death.
Wow, that's heavy stuff.
It is.
So it's not just about physical resilience.
Right.
It's about maintaining that inner spark.
Yeah.
That belief that things can get better.
Absolutely.
But how do you manufacture hope when you're in a truly desperate situation?
That's a great question.
That can't be easy.
That's where the power of experience and a growth mindset come in.
Okay.
Survival psychology and mindset contrasts the experience of POWs with the remarkable story of Juliane Cope, who survived a plane crash in the Amazon rainforest.
Oh.
She was alone injured,
Yeah.
but her previous experience living in the jungle gave her an edge. She knew she could survive, and that knowledge fueled her determination.
That's incredible.
It is.
So drawing on past experiences, even if they seem unrelated,
Yeah,
can be a source of strength and hope in a crisis.
absolutely.
It's like having those mental anchors to remind yourself that you've overcome challenges before and you can do it again.
Exactly. It's about tapping into that reservoir of resilience you've built throughout your life.
Wow.
And a growth mindset is crucial here, too.
Right.
It's that belief that you can learn and grow from any experience, no matter how difficult.
Okay, so we're seeing a pattern here. Willpower compartmentalization, positive self-talk, drawing on past experiences, and cultivating a growth mindset.
Exactly.
These are all active strategies, things we can work on and develop.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's starting to feel like having a survival mindset isn't about luck
Right.
or some innate trait. It's about actively building mental resilience.
You're absolutely right. And it's encouraging to realize that we have more control over our mindset than we might initially think.
Yeah, that's empowering.
It is.
But even with all these mental tools,
Yeah.
there's one emotion that's practically unavoidable in a survival
I
situation.
don't know what you're going to say.
Fear. Fear, exactly.
Right? It's a natural human response to danger.
It is.
But how do you manage fear so it doesn't paralyze you or lead to bad decisions?
Well, survival psychology and mindset makes a key distinction between fear and panic.
Okay.
Fear is that natural instinctive response that can actually be helpful.
Really? So fear can be beneficial in a survival situation?
It can.
That's so.
Think of it as a warning system.
Okay.
It's your body's way of saying, hey, pay attention, something's not right.
It's panic that we need to avoid
Right,
because
bro.
panic shuts down our ability to think clearly
Okay.
and make rational decisions.
So it's about recognizing that initial fear response,
Right.
acknowledging it, but not letting it spiral into uncontrolled panic.
Exactly. Survival psychology and mindset gives this great analogy, the 1-10-1 rule for cold water shock.
Okay.
It states that when you're suddenly plunged into cold water, you have 1 minute to control your breathing,
Okay.
10 minutes of meaningful action before the cold fully overwhelms you,
Wow.
and then 1 hour before hypothermia sets in.
that first minute of mental control is everything.
It really is.
It's the difference between taking those crucial actions to survive
Right.
or succumbing to panic
Right.
and potentially losing your life.
Exactly. And the same principle applies to any survival situation, really.
Wow.
That initial response, how you manage your fear in those first few moments,
Yeah.
can dictate your chances of success.
So what are some practical tools for managing fear in those critical moments?
Survival psychology and mindset offers a great acronym.
Okay.
STOPA.
STOPA.
It's simple, but it can be a real lifesaver.
I'm all ears.
Okay.
What does STOPA stand for?
S is for sit down.
Okay.
Take yourself out of the immediate situation if possible.
Right.
Create some physical and mental distance to interrupt the panic response.
Okay.
T is for take a breath.
Okay.
Regulating your breathing helps calm your nervous system, which is key to thinking clearly.
Right.
It's amazing what a few deep conscious breaths can do to shift your mental state.
So it's like hitting the pause button on that panic response.
Exactly.
What's O?
O is for observe your emotional state.
Okay.
Acknowledge that you're feeling fear. Name it, but don't let it take over. This kind of self-awareness is crucial for staying in control.
Got it. Now P.
P is for plan your next move.
Okay.
Once you've calmed down a bit, you can start thinking rationally about your options.
Right.
What resources do you have? What are your immediate priorities? What are the potential risks and benefits of each action?
And finally, A.
A is for act on that plan.
Okay.
Don't get stuck in analysis paralysis.
Right.
Once you've assessed the situation and considered your options, take decisive action based on your best judgment.
STOPA. I like it. It's simple, easy to remember, and it offers a framework for moving from fear to action.
Absolutely.
It's like having a mental checklist to guide you through those intense moments.
Exactly. And remember, practicing these mental tools is key.
Yeah.
The more you familiarize yourself with STOPA, the more automatic it becomes and the better equipped you'll be to handle those stressful moments.
So it's not about eliminating fear altogether.
Right.
It's about learning to manage it, to use it as a signal to pay attention and take action.
Absolutely. And that's just one piece of the mental puzzle.
Right.
We've talked about the importance of willpower compartmentalization, positive self-talk, and a growth mindset. But it's also crucial to recognize that training your mind for survival is just as important as honing those physical skills.
Okay. So it's not just about learning how to build a fire
Right.
or navigate with a compass.
Exactly.
It's about proactively training your mind to be resilient under pressure.
It is.
But how exactly do you do that?
Well, one approach highlighted in embracing a survival mindset is immersive training.
Okay.
They point to the Survival University, which offers courses specifically designed to push you to understand how your mind works under stress.
So they're simulating those high-pressure scenarios in a controlled environment to help you develop those crucial survival skills, like managing fear,
Right.
making quick decisions,
Yeah.
and staying calm under pressure.
Precisely. It's like putting those mental muscles through a rigorous workout
Right.
to prepare them for the real deal.
And what's fascinating is that survival psychology and mindset suggest that activities you might not typically associate with survival training can also be incredibly beneficial.
Oh, interesting. Like what things like yoga, meditation, or even martial arts.
Okay.
These disciplines can foster self-awareness, emotional regulation, and mental discipline,
Right.
all of which are invaluable for a survival mindset.
It's like cross-training for your mind.
Exactly.
You're building mental strength and flexibility through these diverse practices.
You are.
Okay, so we're building a pretty comprehensive picture of what it takes to cultivate a survival mindset.
Right.
Willpower, compartmentalization, positive self-talk, a growth mindset, fear management techniques like STOPA,
Right.
and the importance of training our minds just like we train our bodies.
It's all connected.
But what about the aftermath of a crisis?
Okay.
How do you move forward after experiencing trauma?
That's where the concept of post-traumatic growth comes in.
Okay.
It's discussed in both embracing a survival mindset and survival psychology and mindset. And it's a truly fascinating and empowering concept.
So tell me more, what exactly is post-traumatic growth?
It's not just about bouncing back from a traumatic experience.
Yeah.
It's about actually becoming stronger, more resilient, and more resourceful as a result of that experience.
Wow.
It's about finding meaning in those challenges, learning from your mistakes, and using those lessons to propel yourself forward.
So it's not just about surviving. It's about thriving.
Exactly. It's about using adversity as a catalyst for personal growth and transformation.
And what's fascinating is that this concept applies not just to individuals,
Right.
but to organizations as well.
Absolutely.
Survival psychology and mindset talks about the organizational benefits of post-traumatic growth.
Yeah. Highlighting how teams that go through a crisis together can actually emerge stronger and more unified.
That's really intriguing. So how does this apply to teams and organizations?
When teams experience a crisis together, it can strengthen their bonds, improve communication, and foster more creative problem solving.
Wow.
They learn to rely on each other to communicate more effectively.
Right.
And to find innovative solutions to complex challenges.
So it's like adversity forges these deeper connections and a shared sense of purpose.
Precisely. It's like the saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Right.
But applied to teams and organizations, they go through this shared challenge, and they come out on the other side more resilient and more effective as a unit.
Exactly. And survival psychology and mindset offers a truly inspiring example of this in action.
Oh, cool.
They talk about the remarkable patience and resilience of Japanese earthquake survivors.
Oh, wow.
And how their response to that devastating event showcased a profound sense of community, spirit composure, and determination.
That's incredibly powerful.
It is.
It speaks to the human spirit's ability to find strength and unity in the face of unimaginable hardship.
Yeah, and it highlights the importance of learning from other cultures, of broadening our understanding of resilience and resourcefulness.
Absolutely. There's so much we can learn from each other, from different cultures and different approaches to adversity. And that brings us to a really fascinating cultural perspective discussed in survival psychology and mindset.
Okay.
It's the concept of embracing delusion.
Embracing delusion, that sounds a bit paradoxical.
Yeah, it is a bit.
Can you explain what that means in this context?
It's about challenging our assumptions.
Okay.
Staying open to possibilities that we might not normally consider, and finding creative solutions to seemingly impossible problems.
Right.
It's about having that mental flexibility to see beyond the obvious.
Okay.
To imagine alternative approaches and to find those unexpected paths to success.
So it's about thinking outside the box, questioning those limiting beliefs.
Right.
And embracing those unconventional solutions that others might dismiss as crazy or impossible.
Precisely. It's about cultivating that mental agility that allows us to adapt and thrive in a constantly changing world.
And that's what makes this exploration of survival psychology so compelling. It's not just about enduring hardship.
Right.
It's about using those challenges as opportunities for growth, transformation, and self-discovery.
Absolutely. It's about tapping into the incredible resilience of the human spirit and recognizing that we have far more potential than we often give ourselves credit for.
And it's a journey we can all embark on regardless of our background or experiences.
It is.
We all face challenges.
We do.
We all experience setbacks. But by cultivating a survival mindset, we can learn to navigate those difficulties with greater courage, resilience, and a deeper sense of purpose.
And that's a powerful message to carry with us as we continue this exploration of survival psychology.
Right.
It's not just about surviving extreme situations. It's about thriving in the face of any adversity life throws our way.
I love that.
It's interesting how this whole idea of survival, has really captured the public imagination.
Yeah.
You gave us this list of 40 best survival podcasts you must follow in 2024.
Right.
It's amazing to see the sheer variety out there.
I know. It seems like everyone's prepping for something these days. Whether it's, a natural disaster, an economic collapse, or just the zombie apocalypse.
Well, there's definitely a growing awareness of the importance of preparedness.
Right.
And these podcasts offer a wealth of knowledge from, practical survival skills to insights into the psychological aspects of facing challenging situations.
And it's not just about wilderness survival anymore.
Right.
There are podcasts for urban survival, financial survival, even surviving a trip to the dentist.
That one made me laugh too. But it speaks to the broader application of a survival mindset.
Right.
It's not just about surviving in the wilderness. It's about being resilient, resourceful, and adaptable in any challenging situation life throws your way.
Right. So whether you're facing a hurricane, a job layoff, or just a really bad day.
Exactly.
These podcasts can offer valuable insights and strategies for navigating those rough waters.
And what I find particularly compelling about some of these podcasts is their focus on real-life survival stories. Shows like Against the Odds, I Survived, and Not Today, they highlight the incredible resilience of the human spirit.
Yeah.
They tell stories of people who faced unimaginable challenges and not only survived, but often found a way to thrive in the aftermath.
It's those stories that remind us that we're capable of so much more than we often realize.
Absolutely.
It's inspiring to see how people tap into their inner strength and find a way to overcome even the most daunting obstacles.
It really is. And those stories offer valuable lessons for all of us, even if we never face, those extreme situations.
Right.
They teach us about the power of hope,
Yeah.
determination, and the importance of never giving up.
There's this one podcast on the list, The Human Survival Project,
Yeah.
that caught my eye. It seemed to take a broader perspective,
Okay.
focusing on the systemic challenges facing humanity.
Right.
Things like climate change, pandemics, and global conflict.
That's a really important point. Our survival is interconnected.
Right.
We're not isolated individuals facing separate challenges.
Yeah.
We need to work together to find collective solutions
Right.
to these global issues, or we risk facing a very uncertain future.
And that requires a shift in mindset, too.
It does.
We need to move beyond our individualistic perspectives and embrace a more collaborative, community-oriented approach to survival.
Absolutely. It's about recognizing that we're all in this together.
Right.
And that our individual actions have ripple effects.
Yeah.
We have a collective responsibility to create a more sustainable and resilient future for everyone.
And speaking of responsibility,
Yeah.
useful ways to build a survival mindset made a point about self-reliance
Okay.
that I found really thought-provoking.
Oh, yes. They emphasize the importance of developing a sense of independence,
Right.
of being able to rely on yourself when things get tough.
It's about taking ownership of your own well-being, developing your skills, and building that confidence
Yeah.
that you can handle whatever comes your way.
Right.
But it's not about becoming a lone wolf or isolating yourself.
Yeah. Oh.
It's about striking a balance between self-reliance and interdependence.
You're absolutely right. Survival psychology and mindset makes a similar point, stressing the importance of social support networks.
Right.
Having strong relationships,
Yeah.
a sense of community, and people you can rely on is absolutely crucial for survival, both physically and emotionally.
It's about finding that sweet spot, being able to take care of yourself,
Right.
but also being willing to ask for help when you need it
Right.
and offering support to others when they're struggling.
It is.
It's that spirit of collaboration, that sense of shared responsibility
Yeah.
that strengthens our collective resilience.
And speaking of resilience, we touched earlier on the importance of training your mind for survival.
Right.
Just like you train your body for a physical challenge. Embracing a survival mindset delves deeper into the specifically highlighting immersive training programs,
Right.
like those offered at the Survival University.
Yes. They talked about how these programs use simulated scenarios to push participants to their limits,
Yeah.
helping them understand how their minds work under pressure and develop those crucial survival skills.
Exactly. It's about putting those mental muscles through a rigorous workout
Right.
in a controlled environment so you're better prepared for the real deal.
And what's fascinating is that survival psychology and mindset suggest that even activities outside traditional survival training can be incredibly beneficial.
Oh, I'm curious about that. What kinds of activities are we talking about?
Things like meditation, yoga, and martial arts.
Yep.
These disciplines, while seemingly unrelated to survival,
Right.
promote self-awareness, emotional regulation, and mental discipline.
Yeah.
All essential qualities for a survival mindset.
It's like cross-training for your mind.
Exactly.
You're building mental strength and flexibility through these diverse practices. You are.
Which can then be applied to any challenging situation you face.
Precisely. It's about expanding your mental toolkit
Right.
and becoming more adaptable and resourceful in the face of adversity.
And survival psychology and mindset takes this even further
Okay.
by delving into the physiological and neurological impacts of fear and stress,
Yeah.
especially in survival situations.
It's fascinating stuff.
Okay, that sounds intense. Tell me more about that.
Well, they talk about how fear can hijack your body,
Okay.
triggering a cascade of hormonal responses that can impair your thinking and decision-making.
Right.
It's like your body goes into this fight or flight mode. And if you don't have strategies for managing those responses, they can quickly spiral into debilitating panic.
So it's not just about overcoming fear on a psychological level.
Right,
It's
yeah.
about understanding how it affects you physically
Yeah,
and finding ways to manage those physiological responses.
exactly. It's about being aware of those bodily sensations,
Right.
understanding their impact, and having tools to regulate them. Okay. They talk about the 1-10-1 rule for cold water shock, which we discussed earlier,
Right.
and how that first minute of controlling your breathing and avoiding panic is absolutely crucial for survival.
Right.
They also highlight the STOPA acronym, which we broke down in the last segment, as a helpful tool for managing fear in any situation.
Right. STOPA.
Yeah.
Sit down, take a breath, observe your emotional state, plan your next move,
Yeah.
and act on that plan.
Exactly.
It's a simple but effective way to interrupt that panic response
It is.
and regain control of your thoughts and actions.
And they emphasize that fear is not the enemy.
Okay.
It's a natural response to danger that can actually help you survive if you learn to manage it effectively.
It's not about eliminating fear altogether.
Right.
It's about recognizing those fear responses,
Yeah.
understanding their impact, and finding ways to channel that energy into constructive action
Exactly.
rather than succumbing to panic.
Absolutely. And survival psychology and mindset shares this fascinating story about Julianne Copet, a young woman who survived a plane crash in the Amazon rainforest.
Wow.
She was alone, injured,
Yeah.
but her previous experience living in the jungle gave her this mental edge.
Right.
She knew she could survive, and that knowledge fueled her determination.
It's incredible how our past experiences, even those that seem unrelated, can give us that mental fortitude to face adversity. It's like having those mental anchors to remind ourselves that we've overcome challenges before and we can do it again.
It's a powerful testament to the resilience of the human spirit.
Right.
And the importance of drawing on our past experiences to navigate present challenges.
And speaking of drawing on experience, another crucial skill highlighted in survival psychology and mindset is compartmentalization.
Right.
A technique for managing overwhelm by breaking down large, complex tasks into smaller, more manageable steps.
Precisely.
Right. We touched on this earlier with the example of Joe Simpson, the climber who survived that horrific accident in the Andes.
Right.
By focusing on just the next 20 minutes of crawling, he was able to avoid being completely consumed by the enormity of his situation.
It's a brilliant example of compartmentalization in action.
It is.
And it's a technique we can all apply in our daily lives whenever we feel overwhelmed by a task or a situation.
Yeah.
Breaking it down into smaller, more manageable chunks can make it feel less daunting and help us maintain a sense of progress.
It's like taking that overwhelming mountain and turning it into a series of manageable hills.
Exactly. And speaking of mountains, survival psychology and mindset introduces another intriguing concept, the 40% rule.
Right. This is the idea that we often underestimate our reserves of strength.
Yes.
Both physical and mental.
Precisely. We hit a wall and think, that's it, I'm done.
Yeah.
But in reality, we probably still have a good 40% left in the tank.
It's a reminder that we're capable of more than we often realize.
We are.
We have these hidden reserves of strength, both physically and mentally, that we can tap into when we need them.
And a key to accessing those reserves is cultivating a growth mindset.
Right. The belief that you can learn and grow from any experience, no matter how challenging.
It is.
This seems to be a recurring theme throughout the sources you've shared.
It is. A growth mindset is essential for survival because it allows you to see challenges as opportunities for learning and development rather than setbacks or failures.
Right.
It's about embracing those difficulties, extracting the lessons, and using them to become even stronger and more capable.
And they refer to this as post-traumatic growth, right?
Yes.
The idea that you can actually emerge stronger and more resilient after going through a traumatic experience.
Exactly.
It's not just about surviving, it's about thriving.
Exactly. It's about finding that silver lining, that sense of purpose and growth, even in the darkest of times.
And this concept applies not just to individuals,
Right.
but to organizations as well.
It does.
Right, we touched on that earlier. So how does post-traumatic growth work in an organizational context?
When teams go through a crisis together, it can actually strengthen their bonds, improve communication, and foster more creative problem solving.
Okay.
They learn to work together more effectively to rely on each other's strengths and to find innovative solutions to complex challenges.
It's like that saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, but applied to teams and organizations.
Exactly.
They go through this shared hardship and come out on the other side more resilient and more effective as a unit.
Precisely, adversity can be a catalyst for growth.
Right.
Both on an individual and a collective level.
Yeah.
And survival psychology and mindset shares some really inspiring examples of this.
Yeah.
Like the remarkable patience and resilience of Japanese earthquake survivors.
Yes. Their response to that devastating event showcased a profound sense of community composure and determination.
Absolutely.
It's a testament to the power of collective resilience.
It is, and it highlights the importance of learning from other cultures, of expanding our understanding of what's possible when we face adversity together.
So we've covered a lot of ground here, from the physiological impacts of fear to the power of a growth mindset and the organizational benefits of post-traumatic growth.
We have.
It's fascinating to see how all these pieces fit together.
They do.
To create a comprehensive picture of what it takes to not just survive, but to thrive in the face of challenges.
It really is, and as we delve deeper into these sources, we're uncovering even more nuanced insights into the art and science of survival.
Right.
But before we move on, is there anything in particular that stood out to you from these podcasts or this discussion so far? Something that sparked your curiosity or made you think differently about these concepts?
To be honest, it's all been super fascinating.
Yeah.
I think what strikes me the most is that building a survival mindset isn't just for, like extreme adventurers or preppers.
Right.
These are tools and strategies that we can all benefit from.
Absolutely.
In our everyday lives.
In any situation.
Yeah. And speaking of empowerment,
Okay.
one thing we haven't touched on yet is the idea of authentic leadership.
Oh, right.
Survival psychology and mindset devotes a whole section to this.
They argue that in survival situations, authentic leadership is crucial for building trust, inspiring hope, and fostering a sense of collective resilience.
So what exactly does authentic leadership look like in a survival context?
Yeah.
What sets it apart from other leadership styles?
It's about being genuine, transparent, and true to yourself, even under extreme pressure. It's about building trust with your team by being vulnerable, admitting your own limitations, and leading by example.
So it's not about projecting an image of invincibility.
Right.
Or having all the answers.
Exactly.
It's about being real and relatable.
It is.
Even in the face of uncertainty and danger.
Absolutely. And authentic leadership isn't just relevant in survival situations. It's a valuable approach to leadership in any context.
Oh, yeah.
Whether you're leading a team through a project, managing a crisis, or just navigating the complexities of everyday life.
So how can someone develop these authentic leadership qualities?
Yeah, that's a great question.
What are some key takeaways from the source material?
Well, survival psychology and mindset emphasizes the importance of self-awareness for authentic leadership.
Okay.
It's about understanding your own strengths, weaknesses, values, and how you respond to stress.
So it's about knowing yourself.
Right.
Being honest about your limitations.
Yeah.
And being willing to ask for help when you need it.
Absolutely.
It's also about recognizing the strengths of your team members and creating an environment where everyone feels valued and supported.
Precisely. It's about fostering that sense of shared responsibility and purpose, that collective resilience that allows a team to thrive even in the face of adversity.
But what about those individuals on the team?
Yeah.
How can they cultivate their own survival mindsets?
That's a great question. We've talked about a lot of these individual strategies already.
Yeah.
But are there any specific tips from the source material that stand out to you?
Yeah. What do you think?
Well, survival psychology and mindset highlights 3 key areas: mental training, physical fitness, and a growth mindset,
Right.
all of which we've touched on in our discussion so far.
Okay, let's revisit those, focusing on actionable takeaways
Okay.
for our listeners. So mental training, what does that involve?
It's about developing your cognitive skills, your ability to think clearly under pressure, make quick decisions, and solve problems creatively.
So it's not just about knowing survival techniques or having the right gear.
Right.
It's about training your mind to be adaptable and resourceful,
It is.
to find solutions even when you're outside your comfort zone.
Exactly. And they suggest that activities like meditation, yoga, and martial arts can be really beneficial for mental training.
It's interesting how these practices, which often focus on mindfulness and self-awareness, can translate into skills that are valuable in survival situations.
Yeah.
It's about building that mental flexibility and focus that allows you to stay calm and make sound decisions under pressure.
And physical fitness plays a crucial role as well.
Right. A strong body supports a strong mind.
And the discipline of regular exercise translates to mental toughness as well.
Yeah.
It's about pushing yourself, testing your limits, and building that physical and mental resilience.
And then there's the growth mindset, the belief that you can learn and grow from any experience, no matter how challenging.
Yes.
This seems to be a recurring theme throughout all the sources you've shared.
Absolutely. A growth mindset is essential for survival because it allows you to see setbacks as opportunities for learning and development rather than as failures or reasons to give up.
Right.
It's about embracing those challenges, extracting the lessons, and using them to become even stronger and more capable.
And they refer to this as post-traumatic growth, right? The
Yeah.
idea that you can actually emerge stronger and more resilient after going through a traumatic experience.
Exactly.
It's not just about surviving, it's about thriving.
Exactly. It's about finding that silver lining, that sense of purpose and growth, even in the darkest of times. And survival psychology and mindset offers a powerful message from a Japanese proverb to illustrate this concept.
Right.
Fall down 7 times, get up 8.
I love that it's about perseverance, that unwavering determination to keep going no matter how many times you get knocked down.
It's a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Setbacks are inevitable, but they don't have to define us.
No.
It's about embracing those challenges, learning from our mistakes, and getting back up stronger and wiser each time.
And the sources you've shared today offer a wealth of practical advice and strategies
Yeah.
for cultivating that resilience, from compartmentalization and the 40% rule to the SISTO-PA acronym and the importance of training our minds just like we train our bodies.
Right.
These are all actionable tools that we can incorporate into our life.
And remember, it's a journey, not a destination.
Right.
Building a survival mindset is an ongoing process of self-discovery, growth, and adaptation.
So if you're feeling inspired to dive deeper into these concepts, where would you recommend our listeners start?
Well, we've mentioned a few specific podcasts already, like Against the Odds, I Survived, and Not Today, which offer captivating real-life survival stories that can be both inspiring and instructive.
And for a more in-depth look at the psychology of survival psychology and mindset from the Survival University is an excellent resource.
It is.
They delve into the science behind these concepts, providing practical tools and techniques for developing mental resilience.
And don't forget those 23 tactics for a survival mindset and a positive attitude.
Yeah.
It's packed with actionable strategies like using those cold showers to build willpower that can be applied to any challenge.
Right. And for incorporating mindfulness and simple practices for cultivating calm and focus.
Yeah.
Nature of the North is a great resource.
Exactly. It's about finding those resources that resonate with you and incorporating these concepts into your daily life one step at a time.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm curious to hear your final thoughts.
Sure.
What's the key takeaway you hope our listener will walk away with today?
The most important thing to remember is that a survival mindset isn't something you're born with. It's a skill you can cultivate, a muscle you can strengthen through practice, self-awareness, and a willingness to embrace challenges.
It's about recognizing that you have more strength and resilience than you might realize, and that you have the power to choose how you respond to adversity.
Absolutely. And as we've explored today, there's so many resources available to support you on this journey. So keep exploring, keep learning, and never underestimate the power of your own mind to overcome challenges and create a brighter future.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into survival psychology. We hope you found it insightful, inspiring, and empowering. Until next time, stay curious, stay resilient, and never stop exploring the depths of human potential.